Did Jesus actually do that? Did he actually say that? Have you ever wondered that? I sure did as a non-believer. And there were 4 lines of reasoning that I finally answered the question I can have confidence in what Jesus said and did. The first was, the writers of the New Testament wrote as eyewitnesses or recorded eyewitness accounts. The second is this, and I'll explain this in several segments. They appealed to the knowledge of their listeners and readers concerning the truth about Christ. You say, no, wait a minute. What do you mean by that? Okay, now follow me carefully. They not only said, look, we were there. We saw Jesus do that. We were there when he did that. We heard him say that. We were there. We saw him do that. But in the presence, now get this, of hostile, knowledgeable Jewish eyewitnesses. People who knew what Jesus did. They knew what he said. Look, Palestine was just a little piece of dirt. A small parcel of land, and Jerusalem only had a few thousand people even living in it. They knew what Jesus said and what Jesus did. And they would appeal to their knowledge, and they say, you were there. You saw him do that. You heard him say that. You were there when he did that. They threw the whole arguments, what Jesus said and did, back on their laps and told them, you know as much as we know of what Jesus said and did. You know, for me historically, that's one of the best tests for truth. Was it presented in the presence of knowledgeable, hostile people, where if it was false, it would have been falsified? Dr. John Warren Montgomery, the legal expert, made this statement. This rule underscores the reliability to testimony to Christ's resurrection, which was presented contemporaneously in the synagogue. In the very teeth of opposition, among hostile cross-examiners who would certainly have destroyed the case for Christianity had the facts been otherwise. In other words, if they had dared to add to or take away from what Jesus said, there'd have been people there immediately who would have corrected them. Dr. Lawrence J. McKinley of St. Peter's College said the value of hostile witnesses in relationship to the recorded events is, first of all, eyewitnesses of the events in question were still alive when the tradition had been completely formed about Christ. And among those eyewitnesses were bitter enemies of this new religious movement, when false statements could and would have been changed. There were knowledgeable people there that would have known if anything had been added to or taken away from what Jesus said or did.